So you did Mother.
Yeah, you
with
made me do that one.
I didn't make you do it. You wanted to see it. American Made.
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
Well, yeah, I have to see that.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I have to see that one.
And then A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
I like National Lampoon.
There has got to be a pattern. We had pretty lowered expectations on this one.
I've never read the book.
Neither of us have read the books whatsoever. We know
Anything
that
about
we
the
know
books.
that they are a very beloved children's book series from Britain, and admittedly, I myself have been a bit spoiled because, as you all may recall, I gave Paddington 2 is my first perfect rating of this year, and for very good reason. So I myself had lowered expectations because when we saw the trailer,
Oh, the trailer was bad.
the trailer just did not.
There was one thing in the trailer that made me laugh. I went, okay, that was funny.
Apart from General Hux getting
No, the
abused.
electrocution thing was
The electrocution-
funny. I'm sorry, that made me laugh. I saw the cast list, and I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
One of the rabbits is Daisy Ridley. The antagonist is
Donald Gleason.
So he's
Yeah.
Hux, and the joke Rebel Rabbits. And I'm like, is this like a joke on Star Wars? Like, so my brain just starts thinking that.
I mean, the only thing that gave us even a sliver of hope was that the tomato meter was fluctuating between fresh and rotten.
I think it's stuck at fresh.
I think
Like
last I
60%?
checked, it's at 61%.
That's at a. I'm like, I was expecting like 10%.
And while I will say this does not hit the heights, the emotional heights that I got with Paddington, I will still say
I was laughing.
we were laughing like
It
crazy.
was way better than I expected.
Yeah. We have no basis of comparison, but I will say if you're fans of the books,
Probably not.
you're on your own.
I will say the art from the books is regularly featured
Yes.
in a very clever way, and it is good. That's really good.
It does have a very lovely English countryside style.
Yeah.
Like, from what I know about it, it feels like this should be Peter Rabbit.
The best stuff in the movie is not in the trailers.
Definitely not. There's a lot of stuff that
Oh, yeah.
they hit you over the head with. I mean, even a freaking rooster has a character arc in this movie.
And it's a good one.
It's kind of
like 30
amazing.
seconds, but it's really good.
Yeah. So that's the little things you have to look forward to.
I expected also characters to be just very one-dimensional. Like, no, you're evil, you're the perfect sweetheart, blah, blah. No. The only person that was evil was
The original
McGregor was an asshole.
Oh, before we start, it starts with the actual Farm McGregor, and played once again under a bushel of hair by Sam Neill.
Yeah.
And
He's a jerk.
Oh God,
You hate him.
Yeah,
Rightfully so.
It seemed, you know what it was? He seemed like the asshole brother of his character from Hunt for the Wilder People.
I actually did.
Yeah, and when you're calling
such
when
a
you're calling
jerk.
him the asshole brother of that character, that's saying something.
And the thing is, at first you're like, oh, okay, he's just a creaky old man, and then they're like, oh no, by the way,
This guy eats a freaking eclair over his wife's grave.
didn't it have a candle on it?
Yes.
This guy's just dirt. So
This is the kind
it's
of-
kind of okay when bad things happen to him. You're like, good.
Yeah, you're kind of okay with
But
this.
then you get the next generation McGregor, and you're like, oh, this guy's gonna
It's
be.
like you can see where this guy's coming from in his inevitable clash with Peter Rabbit, but
Yeah.
when you meet him at the beginning, he's still sympathetic.
He's sympathetic even when he's throwing dynamite at the rabbits.
And even then, it's
I didn't blame him.
oh yeah,
I
definitely
could
not.
not blame
But
him.
to show your investment, you actually do care. You actually are a little bit on Peter's side.
You're balancing them
Yeah.
both. You're like,
It
I
has-
don't know who I want to win in this situation. They're both kind of equal.
In a way, this is kind of like in a similar narrative style to Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a fashion where it's
over
like
a woman.
exactly. It's the fact that she was, for all intents and purposes, his matriarchal figure in the absence of his parental figures, and that was actually a nice angle to it.
I did not get annoyed with anyone. Like, some characters you think, oh, I'm going to be annoyed with them. They're so no. They kind of brought certain characters in and then took them out, and brought them in for a certain moment and took them out. And some of the jokes,
One pop culture
joke, and it's coming out of the '90s. So I was like,
The rest of the movie doesn't even resort to that. And once again, when you see that trailer, you're thinking it's going to resort to fart jokes. All the stuff that the lowest... And the fact that it's done by Sony, you're thinking that's...
okay. They do a crotch joke, but it's so well played. I was like, they kind of even slow build to it.
Yeah.
And it's freaking hilarious. But they don't actually show it. They keep the camera a little bit higher so you just know what's happening.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
And this
so
kind of,
awful.
and this does segue into one of the niggles I have with one of the characters in the movie, particularly Rose Byrne's B.
Yeah.
In that scene going on, it's hilarious because it's a great
we know what's going on.
It's a great setup for a nut shot joke. Peter Rabbit, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Benjamin, they're all like hidden under the garden wall, so she doesn't see them, but you can see them lobbing projectiles.
Yeah, they have like
they have slingshots, and they're lobbing like everything at McGregor.
And they know where it hurts.
Yeah, well, he's at first guarding his crotch, and here he is like trying to maintain his composure because B's like right over there.
So she can see him,
and she's like, "Oh, look,
up.
You're doing your yoga positions." Because
hands
up, and they're like, "Oh,"
and you're like, "Oh, God, he's gonna have to lift his hands."
So the stretch of credibility for me is how does she not notice all these projectiles?
Because he's also covered in like juice from the tomatoes,
and they're not just throwing grapes at him either.
They're
throwing everything, like of various sizes. Even at a distance, you'd still be able to see some of it.
She was a little dense at times. Like there's some parts that I'm like, all right, woman, really?
You could say Flower Child, Space Case, maybe, but there's a limit.
On some marijuana?
Yeah, maybe off screen.
Off screen, yeah. It's cool. We're fine with that.
It's cool. You do you, but still.
I think I also amused because it just led to more hilarious torture.
There was a level of Schadenfreude here because, of course, we being Star Wars fans as we are,
I was utterly
loving General Hux for all of his hamminess.
Okay, all right. Case in point, starting off the movie, if you have that concept in your head, you're watching it. Like General Hux has dyed his hair, he's left the First Order, and he's working at a shop. I was sitting there laughing so hard just because my brain could not take that out.
And this is a man, to prove his worth to the department store he's working for, is willing to drink toilet water. He had the straw.
He was ready to do it.
He was ready.
And they even call it out at one point. They're like, "How do I look?" Like a man who was about to drink
toilet water through a straw.
And I'm like, that was well played, movie. That was funny. But it looked like people respected him too. Like no one hated him.
And that is a credit to the movie, is that they set him up to be, yes, a very, very much an obsessive, I guess you could say obsessive compulsive in this case. Very much a stickler for procedure, for tidiness, but he never seems so overbearing that he's obnoxious.
At one point says, "You pushed me to be like this," and I'm like, "Yeah."
In a fashion, yeah, he kind of does. I mean, they get off on the wrong rabbit's foot pretty much immediately. I'd say the other major thing that just really kind of is that you never think in your life you're going to call a adorable little rabbit a freaking bamf.
Oh, Cottontail's a bamf.
Yeah. Flopsy and Mopsy are great, but they're cool. This is the kind of rabbit who will deliberately break their ribs just because they have
more. Oh, I got more ribs. Let me go break some more.
Plop.
And it was an ongoing joke, and I loved it every time. I was just hoping that joke would come back.
But admittedly, once again, going back to our love of Star Wars, it all helps that it's Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley was a scene stealer in this one.
But I never got distracted by her voice.
No. Actually, even cooler is the fact that Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail are all played by pretty much badass actresses from major franchises. I mean, we got Margot Robbie as Flopsy, and we just saw her as Tanya Harding, so that's kind of funnier for us. And Elizabeth Debicki, who I just reviewed in the Cloverfield Paradox and in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as Mopsy, and she was unrecognizable. Peter was a very, he's definitely nowhere near Paddington, but I'll definitely say
he acknowledges his flaws. That was nice.
So I guess you could say if you have lowered expectations for this movie, that might actually be to your benefit.
It's an easy watch.
If it's on, if it pops up on Netflix, we'll say, let's watch it. We had a great time watching this. So
it's a lot of fun.
I'd say if there's any cons to this movie, I'd say is that it's really funny, but it's not a life changer. I mean,
all movies are meant to be.
Really?
Was Peter Rabbit going to be your life changer?
Mm-hmm. Well, we
reevaluate your life if that's the truth. I'm sorry.
I mean, it didn't have any kind of real life lessons. I mean, it did have some nice things to say about
I don't even know if the books did. I honestly don't even know if they did.
Well, yeah.
Did they?
From what they've lasted for generations. I think it's safe to say that. Well,
dude,
that's the problem. We don't know the books, so we can't judge on that level.
Is this like Dr. Seuss, Grinch Stole Christmas, and then the Ron Howard movie, which I enjoy.
We enjoy it,
but I don't think it's the book.
No.
It's like they're two different things. Maybe if you go in with that theory, they help you out. It's separate.
But when it comes to being a really good family film that actually parents will happily say they will get more than they bargained for, I think that's definitely where it's going to be.
Definitely.
So I think we're both in agreement on this, that we're going to give it a Narcotic Castle rating of...
Half. 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
But do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think this is a blasphemy against the book? Or do you think that it's a nice, light piece of children's entertainment? Leave it in the comments below. And for more addictive content on Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click. Thou shalt be served.
So, can we review this one next?
Why would we review Crash Pet? Oh, come on!